Okay, everybody, it is 1 p.m. here on the East Coast. Hope everyone's having a great afternoon or a great morning wherever you are located. So I want to thank you for joining me on today's webinar on creating impactful and effective landing pages with INBOX25. So before we begin today, as always, I've created a brief webinar, or a brief slide deck, I should say, and it's showing on screen currently. So before we begin, jump in, we have today's agenda. So first up on the agenda is just some general housekeeping, as we always do. Next up is the big question of the day: what are landing pages? Then we have why are landing pages a powerful tool within digital marketing? Then we have some best practices for creating landing pages, and finally we're going to jump right into the live demonstration. So before we begin the slide deck here, we have some general housekeeping. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to drop them in the GoToWebinar panel below. There'll be a brief Q&A at the end of the webinar. I'll run through as many questions as I can. Any questions I'm not able to get to, I will send them in a follow-up email after the webinar has ended. This webinar, along with all of our other webinars, are recorded. I always mention now we have quite a few webinars up on our YouTube channel. So you can go ahead there if you've missed any from this previous webinar series, or if you've missed any webinars from our past webinar series, you can go ahead and watch those here. And last but not least, remember to follow us on Twitter at INBOX25 to get everything up-to-date inbox. We post a lot of relevant articles to the world of marketing automation, relevant news for the business, as well as any updates going on with the business in general. So that now brings us over to the main question of the day: landing pages. What are they? So that's a really great question. So if we disregard all of the fluff here, a landing page is any page, usually standalone, with a goal or incentive aimed at capturing some type of information. Normally within the B2B space, most landing pages are used for the purposes of lead generation. The idea being more and more companies now are turning to online advertisement tools like PPC, AdWords, doing things like SEO in order to drive relevant traffic to their web pages. While this is a great tool and a great strategy, the question becomes what happens when these leads arrive to your website? What are we going to do with them? And that's where landing pages and forms come in. So the goal of any landing page that's used for lead generation is, of course, to convert an unknown prospect into a created record within your database. Landing pages are a very powerful tool, as they are the first initial touch point a lead will encounter with your business that will ultimately drive them to want to learn more. So you don't want to have to drive all this website traffic if the visitor is simply going to leave your website and to never return again. So the importance of building relevant and goal-driven landing pages is essential to maximizing your business growth with really the types of leads that you want to market to. So next up, we have why are landing pages important? What's the reason why we're going to spend time building out all these landing pages? Well, as we just discussed, landing pages give your visitors an avenue to connect further with your business. In the case of lead gen forms, the visitor is providing, at the most basic level, an email address. That's the key indicator here. That form conversion opens the door to allow more targeted personal communication with this new lead. Because landing pages are goal-driven, you'll know exactly what the lead was expecting upon conversion, providing transparency for not only the lead, but also as the marketer, it'll guide you into how to build these landing pages or how to target these leads more effectively. So then, apart from gathering a prospect's email, INBOX25 can gather any text-based information that is relevant to your business. Achieved through custom data fields, which is a very powerful function, we've discussed this in previous webinars, landing pages can provide rich data that can easily be segmented. So here are some common examples. Maybe a lead's expressed interest in a specific product from a landing page form field. You, the marketer, are now in full control to either nurture or route this lead to the appropriate sales rep, since you know exactly what they were expecting upon the lead conversion, this form conversion. So the more information you can gather on a lead initially, the better prepared you are to contact that lead, addressing their needs directly, removing all of the fluff from the conversation. This keeps both sales and marketing informed, which will then increase efficiency with you and your company. It's important to remember, communication is a two-way street here, so you want to be transparent with the information provided. But I don't want you to think of landing pages as just used for form capture. It can go a lot deeper than that. Landing pages within the platform are extremely flexible and can be used for any goal-driven activity you wish to accomplish. Is there a new series of webinars upcoming, like we've just done with this previous webinar series? If that's the case, you can seamlessly turn your landing pages into one-to-one webinar registration forms with our GoToWebinar integration. So this would be a perfect example of this. Or perhaps you wish to gather customer feedback, in the form of a survey. You can easily change up your landing pages to emulate surveys, and we do have a fantastic webinar on that up on our YouTube channel and blog currently, talking about changing your landing page into great surveys. So the goal with any landing page is really left up to you. It's whatever you'd like to accomplish. And last but not least here, we have some landing page best practices. So landing pages, the first thought to keep in mind when creating a landing page is that they shouldn't be designed as a home page with some thrown-in form fields in there. A landing page should represent a single goal or call to action that is the main incentive for conversion. Home pages normally, or website home pages, don't normally convey a single goal. There's usually multiple links going to different pages in your website, and things can get a little bit cluttered. This is really the wrong approach to take when designing a landing page. You want to keep the content clean, concise, and organized. As landing pages represent a single call to action, you want to focus all of your attention onto that goal. Remove the fluff. This is really not the time to add in any outside irrelevant information. The goal is to gather a conversion, so make that avenue as simple as possible for your leads to meet. Just some sort of well-rounded best practices. Stay away from flashy, spammy-looking text and images. Anything that's too flashy or large font, Comic Sans, normally will defer a lead from converting. From my perspective, a clean, simple landing page that directly sets my expectations is the most effective method to grab my attention. And once again, landing pages set expectations, or else there would really be no incentive for the lead to convert. So common expectation examples include something like gathering more information, perhaps maybe a price quote, or a contact us form where you want to have a lead get in contact with a sales member, or initiating a file download. This could be a white paper or an ebook. Because landing pages focus on a singular marketing goal, it makes understanding your lead's expectations simple, and it provides a really strong jumping off point when it's time to engage in conversation with this new lead. So that'll run through our slide deck here. I didn't want to spend too much time on the slide deck, but we've sort of run through what's a landing page, why is it important, and then these best practices are going to go ahead and translate over to the landing page we're going to be building out today. So let's leave this slide deck here, and we can jump right into our live demonstration. Now, as you see here, we have our INBOX25 homepage. Everyone should be familiar with this page here. So to start creating a basic landing page, we go over to Pages and Forms at the top here and click Create New Form. So here we can see all the templates you can design with. Each template has, of course, a different layout in terms of screen width, field placement, and content placement. Normally for a cleaner design, I like to recommend using a template that's designed to take up the full width of the screen, and that's going to be these I guess these fatter templates here. So this last one here, the ones that have the full block inserted. Just makes it look a little bit cleaner when you're designing the template as a standalone page. But once again, the ball's really in your court. It's whatever you feel comfortable with using. I recommend, just like learning anything, practice makes perfect. Try out different template combinations, see which ones will work best for you. For today's example, I'm going to choose our last template here. So template number, what are we at? Template number 9. And as you'll notice, even before we jump into the template here, you can see this top box, this little white top box with the image, lets us know that it has a designated area for a logo. The ones that don't have this designated area for a logo, it doesn't mean you can't add a logo in. It simply means you'll actually have more flexibility with adding in a logo, as you'll simply put it inside of a content block. But in our case, I like the rigid structure of having a logo in there, so we're going to go ahead and use this one to build out with. Okay, perfect. So now we're brought to our landing page editor screen. So before we begin the design aspect, we first need to input our basic settings. So for today's demonstration, I am going to recreate our request for demo landing page, and I'll show you what that page looks like here. Have it up there. The reason being is this webinar is a great example of a focused, clear, and direct landing page. It removes all the fluff, and it makes it really simple for the user to understand what they're getting. The expectations are clearly labeled. In this case, it's to request a demo. And also, I want you to notice the amount of information we're asking to gather here. Remember, landing pages are tremendous tools for learning about your lead's business needs, which allows you to make informed decisions later regarding which approach to take when marketing to them. We're not filling this landing page up with fluff info, but we're gathering only the essential info we need to better serve this prospect. So don't be afraid when you're creating these landing pages to learn about your leads. They're taking the time to fill it out. Learn as much as you can. As long as it's not information overload, you should be fine. And also notice this landing page does utilize various types of form fields, which will also be a good carryover to our demonstration as we can discuss some single text fields, email address fields, drop downs, checklist fields, and we'll run through all of that when we're building this landing page out. But you'll get an idea of what this landing page will look like once it's complete. So we'll go over back to our editor here. Now the first step when you create a landing page is to figure out where you want this form to be synced with. It can be synced to either one of the 4 main modules inside of Sugar CRM, so your accounts, targets, contacts, your leads, or we can go ahead and map this over to one of our marketing lists. Now, because we love Sugar here, we're going to go ahead and map this over to the Sugar Contacts module. So, be strategic. In our case, this is a request for demo form. So I want to go ahead and create them in the Contacts module because they're showing some kind of powerful incentive. So the Contacts module in our configuration would represent this kind of level of interest. Now the page title, this is going to be relevant to the goal of the landing page. In this case, we can just call this. We'll do a request for demo landing page. Your form title, to be honest, it can be gobbledygook. We allow you to hide the form title. The form title was much more relevant when the builder was our old builder. You can just sort of type in what you want there. We'll keep it clear. We'll just put in demo here, and we'll hide our title there. Perfect. Next up is aligning the form title. We're not going to do that there. Align the forms. Now this is going to be the placement of the forms inside of the builder. Because we want this to be centered completely, we're going to move this align form to the center. Next up is really important. It's going to be what happens when a successful conversion occurs. Now this is going to be really dependent on the goal of the landing page. If this landing page is used for a white paper or ebook, then you're going to want to go ahead and initiate a file download. If the lead is asking for a price quote, or in our case a demo, you can show them a confirmation message alerting the lead that they will now be contacted by a sales member shortly, or a member of your team shortly. And that's actually exactly what we're going to do here. So we'll do show a confirmation message. And apologies if I'm typing incorrectly here. I'm typing with one hand. So we'll do thank you for your interest with INBOX25. You will contacted shortly. Okay, so we have a nice little confirmation message showing a lead converts on it. We can go ahead and show that to them so they know exactly what will happen after they've converted on this landing page. Remember, we're setting the expectations for them. We can do one limit. We can limit one submission per IP address. In our case, it's probably a good idea as a request for demo form. We don't want multiple people coming in if they're from the same company. So in our case, we'll do limit one per IP submission. And then we can then align our submit button here. Once again, we want everything to be centered, so we'll align our submit button in the center. And I'll just give you a heads up, we're going to be using a custom submit button here. We're not going to be using our stock one, so we'll change it up during the webinar. And then last but not least, we have the ability to send real-time alerts to members of your sales team upon a successful form submission. You can add as many addresses as you'd like, and the alert not only sends, well, an alert, but it gives the recipient a complete submission history, so they'll be able to see exactly what this lead has filled out on the landing page. So in our case here, we'll just add in my email address. We'll just do james.verdi@inbox25.com, and if I added a comma for an example, I can add in any other emails I'd like. Okay, fantastic. So now that we've done all of our basic information, I want to go ahead and start designing this particular landing page. So all of your options can be found here on the top toolbar. We have our paintbrush, our font style, our form fields, and our logo. So before we jump into the wallpaper, I want to go ahead and just add my logo in. Sort of the most basic option for a landing page is to go ahead and add my logo. When I click logo image, it brings me up to my file on my computer. I have a neat little folder here with all my images, and we'll just choose our logo image here, and that is automatically added into our builder. Fantastic. Next up, we want to discuss some wallpaper options. Now, the wallpaper options, if we just hover over one of our wallpaper options here, you can see we give you a nice color wheel. You can also embed specific RGB values if you'd like. In our case, I want to keep our landing page very crisp, very clean, so I'm not going to alter any of the wallpaper color today. But if I were to, as an example, you can see I can change the color here, and if you input specific values, you can identically match it to your business colors to make your landing page look extremely uniform. In our case, we'll just do a completely white color, or a little, it's a hint of gray color, I should say. So next up is going to be adding in the main titles for our landing page here. And you can see the landing page is divided up into 3 different blocks. We have a content block 1 on the top here. We have our option for our form fields, and then we have our bottom content block. And all of your editing for the landing page is done directly inside of the content block. So I'll break down some of the options we give you in terms of designing this landing page. So if you hover over and click on our content block, it brings you up to a little toolbar with the option to embed some text, embed some images, YouTube videos. We'll run through all that today. But in our case, let's go ahead and add in our main title. So I'm going to copy exactly what's on the demo landing page. So we'll do exactly what is marketing. Automation made easy. We can see here, what is marketing automation made easy, you ask? And if I can spell there we go. And you know, simple as like a Microsoft Word or a Google Doc editor, we can go ahead and highlight this text. I want to bring it over to the center. And as this is my main title, I want to go ahead and make this font a bit bigger. So we'll do 26 here, and we'll bold it. This is sort of the main, remember, we're keeping this clean. So this is going to be the main option or the main title or text that my recipient is looking at. So you want to make sure this is bold and big and ready for them to look at. And then we'll add my subtitle here. We'll do see it live. And apologies for me typing this up, but it'll just take a minute here. Perfect. See it live and in action with a personalized demo. Now, when you're designing a landing page, you know, these 2 titles sort of blend in with each other. So let's add some more pizzazz to it, if you will. We can go ahead. Let's change this color here to something more flashy. So maybe we'll do an orange. And to do that, all I simply did was hover over and highlight the text, and then go over to my text editor here, and we have a bunch of color options. You can choose more colors as well, or once again, you can embed some specific RGB values to match your specific company's colors. So in our case, we'll go ahead, we'll choose this orange, and OK. Now once again, I want to highlight the most important areas of this title. So live and in action. So I want my leads to know that this demo is going to be demoed live. So I want to go ahead and bold. I want to go ahead and bold this out. So actually, we'll remove this bold here. Remove that bold, and I want to bold this. Here we go. So immediately my leads' eyes are drawn right to this live in action panel there. Perfect. Okay. So we have our main title. We have our main options here. Let's go ahead now and add in that creative table you're seeing here on this request. So this is a table here, this image and text. And this is going to be a little more of an advanced option, but it's something I definitely want to discuss today because it makes the landing page look really, really nice. So to do that, we'll space down here, and we'll space another one. Actually, we'll space another one there, and we'll move all the way to the left. So we'll center our thing to the left, our little box there. Now, to add in a table for this particular landing page, it's going to be this option right in the middle, table option here. And if we click on table, we have a bunch of different options we can choose from. Now, in this case, we're going to be doing 2 columns with 1 row. So we do one row, 2 columns. And we allow you through advanced settings to, style this particular table any way you'd like. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and have it go to the center. So I have a neat little coding option, so I don't have to type this in myself. And we'll just paste it in here onto the style. This is going to nicely format my table here. And we can go ahead and click OK. Perfect. So you can see here, we've instantly added a table over to our builder. So now, of course, I want to go ahead and add in some content to this table. So first up, as you remember on the landing page, we have an image. So all I'm simply doing here is tagging over the table, and I click on my image option here, which can be right to the left of my table option. And this will bring up my image property open menu. Okay. So there's one of 2 ways to access images from the landing page builder. One way is through browsing the server. What that means is any images you've used in the past will be saved internally to the system, and you can go back and use those again for ease of use if you lost a file or you just want to have everything condensed into one area. Or in the alternative, you can upload a file from your computer. Now, because there's a lot of images on our server, it takes me a little while to find the correct ones. So we're going to go ahead here and choose a file on my computer. And once again, we're brought up to our handy dandy little file bar here, and we'll choose this image there. Now, one important note, anytime you upload an image, you will have to send it to the server. If I click OK here, it's going to say image URL is missing. So once you have your image, send it over to the server. It's going to bring you back to this screen, and you can see your image here in the little box. Now, in terms of resizing the image will default to the size of the image file is. But if you wish to resize it, it's very simple. We give you the width and height dimensions here. And if I do something like 500 width, if you have this little lock locked up, it'll automatically resize the dimensions for you. If I were to unlock the lock here, you can go ahead and completely customize the dimensions at your leisure. In my instance, I want to do it as the stock size it was, so 600 by 378. Now, if I want to add a border to this image, I can go ahead and do that here. So I hover over my border option, and if I put in a value of 2, it gives me a small border. If I put in a value of 23, it'll give me a larger border. So the higher numbers you go, the thicker the black border will be. Excuse me. In our case, we don't want a border, so we'll go ahead and click OK. And we can see here we have our image put right into the builder. Now, I know this doesn't look very nice. I assure you we'll work on it and make it look a little bit prettier. So now we have our image in one side of the box. We're going to want to add our content or text into the other side. So to do that, I simply click the right option here, and my little mouse has hovered over the next section of the template there. Now, for ease of purposes and ease of use, I have the text I'm going to be using put right into a text edit option. Now, this is one thing I want to talk about. So anytime you're using text from the web or from especially Microsoft Word, the formatting of the text will not always be uniform. So it's always recommended if you're using a Mac, you have the access to text edit. If you're using a PC, you have access to Notepad to paste in the text you want to use and then paste it in and then recopy it from either text edit or Notepad. Now, if you don't want to go that route, we make it even more simple for you. If we go over to our content block here, you have these 3 options at the top. And this last option here is specifically designed for paste for Word or from Word. So if you're pasting something from Word as an example, you'd open this dialog up here. You'd paste in all the text directly from Word, and then you click OK and you'd save it. And what this will do is it'll reformat the text to make the text all uniform. So if you're finding you have formatting issues with any of your text, it might be, or a very good chance it is, because the text HTML is not uniform with the builder. So just a helpful hint there to make sure to either use our built-in reformatting tool or use something like text edit or Notepad if you're a Mac or PC user. So in our case, we have our text formatted here. Let's go ahead, we'll just copy and paste. We'll copy this again. So we'll highlight over it, we'll copy it, and we'll paste it right into the builder here. Perfect. So now we have our text, and you can see it's automatically resized itself based on the dimensions I made the table and how large the image actually was. So this does not look too nice here. Let's go ahead, we'll highlight it over, and we'll center it. Okay, this looks a little bit better, still not fantastic. I want this text to be a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to read. So we'll go to our size option here, and we'll make this maybe 14. Okay, fantastic. So we're getting there. You know, we're not quite there yet, but we are getting there. So from here, I want to format my text to make it look properly in line with the rest of the text here. So to do that, I'm going to hover over prospects here, and I'll click backspace, and then I'll bring the more option down, and then we'll go ahead by more. I'll click backspace again, space it up, and now our text is properly formatted, or at least much better formatted than it was before. And then everything's kind of conjumbled here, so I might want to space this out to make it a little bit easier to read for my leads. So we can go ahead and we'll just add spaces in between each option. And all I'm doing simply is clicking enter, and it's adding spaces in between each option here. Fantastic. Okay, so we have our text formatted. Now the last thing I want to do with this particular text, as you can see here, I have some areas of the text bolded out. And once again, that's going to be because those are the most important areas of the text I want my lead's eyes to focus in on. But also, to keep this more uniform, you know, orange is sort of the theme we're going to go with here. Why don't we highlight this bold with some orange text, just to make it look more formatted. So we'll highlight over our text here, and we'll do more colors, and we're going to use the same exact orange color we were using before. There we go. Highlight over our text here. And once again, you know, you're seeing how flexible the builder really is. It's really whatever you want to do with the builder you can. You know, you need some kind of some visual onto what the landing page is going to be built like. It's pretty difficult to go in blind. But if you have a general idea, and hopefully this landing page is giving you guys some inspiration into how to build a landing page similar to this. Because I think this is a clean landing page, it's concise, and you're letting the lead know exactly what the goal is upon submission, which is really the most important part. So we have our table here, and if we click this little minimize option, we can see wider what this table looks like. Now you'll probably notice we have this very ugly border around the table. We want to remove that. So let's go back to our editor here. And to do that, it's really simple. Let's just left click on the editor here, and we're highlighting over a portion of our table. We'll then right click, and we'll go over to table properties. So if you want to edit any of the table properties that you already created, you can go ahead and do that here. So we'll do table properties, and to remove the border, our border is currently at 1. We'll just click 0 here and click save, and we've effectively removed our border. So now this landing page is starting to take shape. Definitely looks a lot nicer than it did about 5 minutes ago. So we have basically the top half of our landing page complete. The next important part, and perhaps the most important, is to start adding in our form fields. Now, as you remember, we have quite a few form fields to add in, so let's start doing that now. So to add in form fields to the builder, it's really simple. We hover over to our form field option on the top left, and we give you an option of a wealth of different form field options. So we have things like name field, email address field, the list goes on. I think for our demonstration purposes today, we're going to be using name field, email address field, paragraph field, country field, check field, and also a drop down as well. So we're using a good handful of the different options we allow you to have just to cover a lot of the bases here for today's demonstration. So the first step we want to do is to add form fields to the builder. Simply go ahead and drag and drop in your name field. And one thing I want to mention as well before we even go into this, you see here how simple it was to add this form field in. This formatting I did before, so it's an aligned form. Now if I did it to the left, it'll align my form fields to the left. So just remember, if for any reason the form fields aren't formatting in the center, it's because you have the align form off. So put it to the center there, and we'll have it back to the center here. So we have our name form field here. Let's go ahead and start editing our name form field. So we're brought up with this screen here. So let's go ahead and we can edit the title of the name. So we'll do something like your name. And we'll just delete name here, and we'll make this lowercase. So your name. Perfect. Now I want to go ahead here, and the most important part of this form field is to then map it back to the corresponding data field inside of either Sugar CRM or INBOX25. It'll just depend on which list you're mapping this landing page back to. In our case, we're mapping it back to our Sugar Contacts module, so I'm going to map this form back to our name field inside of the contacts. For field size, I want to go ahead and make this large, and we're going to leave the pixel width at 160. And then from here, we can change the first name label, the last name label, and also we can check off if this is going to be a required field. In our case, we want the name, of course, to be a required field, so we're going to have it checked off here. So you'll notice as well that this font here is a little bit small. It's not really going with our theme of orange, so let's go ahead and change that before we start adding in more form fields. So to do that, to edit all of your font options for your forms, we go over to these large A's here, so Form Font Settings. And we're going to want to edit the field title. So for the field title, let's make this font, let's see, how does 16 look? 16 looks pretty good. Okay, so we have 16, and for the font color, we give you some options. Once again, it's a color wheel. You can embed specific RGB values in there if you'd like to. In our case, I already have my specific value in mind, so I'll put my specific value in mind here. And that'll give us almost an identical orange to the orange we're using on the top of the landing page here. So click OK, and now we have formatted our particular form fields to match the color of our top half of the landing page here. And actually, I want to make this a little bigger. And once again, you'll see I'm playing around with it. I'm seeing what works best. I'm seeing what I like the best. It's really up to you on how you want to format this. So that's a little bit too big. We'll do 18. I think 18 is a good width here, a good font size. Now for the field description, I also want to change the color of this as well. And I want to make this sort of an offset gray. So I have my specific page, my specific value in mind. Click OK here, and that'll change the field descriptions for all of the form fields I'm going to be adding. And we want to leave that once again at the font size at 12. Okay, perfect. So now that we have the basic of our form field done, let's go ahead and start adding in more form fields because we have quite a few that we have to add into the landing page here. So once again, we'll drag and drop in our email address form field. And everything is stock, all capitals. So I like to go ahead and just change that, make it look a little bit cleaner. We'll just do email address. Perfect. Once again, we're going to map this email address data field, form field over to the email address data field inside of Sugar. We'll do field size large, and I want to make this width, we'll do something like 375. How does that look? That's about right there. So I want these form field options to be larger, going along with the look of this landing page here. Once again, these form fields are larger. It just makes things a little bit cleaner because everything's white. If you have the form fields look smaller, it sort of blends in with the background. So you want to make these form fields a little bit larger just to differentiate each one because there are so many of them in this particular landing page build out. And for email address description, that's not really necessary here. We can get rid of that, make it look a little bit cleaner. And then specific to email addresses, we allow you to include a confirmation field. So it'll basically just duplicate the address field to make sure that the lead is putting in the correct email address. And one thing I want to mention is at the very least, email addresses are required on all of our landing pages. Email addresses are the key indicator in our platform. So you can have a landing page with no form fields, but it will have to have at least one, which will be the email address field. So you can't actually uncheck this required field option here. It's always going to be turned on. All right, awesome. So now that we have our sort of basics out of the way, we can start exploring some more custom options that we're going to be gathering from our leads. So the first one is going to be their company name. We want to actually know what this lead is from or where they're from. So in this case, we'll put company here. And we'll do company. And then we will map this to a data field inside of our Sugar CRM module. Now, as you'll notice here, a lot of these data fields are custom because the information we're going to be gathering is custom. So as an example, something like database size or how did you hear about us? These are all custom data fields that aren't native to Sugar. So what you would simply do is you'd create these data fields in Sugar and you'd sync these data fields back to the platform. Once they're synced up to the platform, you can access them from this handy-dandy drop-down menu here. So in this case, we have a custom data field for company name. And once again, we're going hand in hand. We're going to do the same width we're doing for all the other ones, 375 here, just to keep everything uniform. We don't need a text description here. I also want to have this as a required field, and I can either limit the amount of characters that I have in this particular field. I don't want to do that, as some company names can be longer or shorter than other ones, so I want to cover all bases. So we have our company name here. And actually, let's just do company name. I put company. Let's make it a little more formal there. Do company name. Perfect. All right. So we're working our way down the list here. Now we're going to do an easy one. Where is this company located? If you're doing only a domestic, or at least for the U.S., only a domestic landing page, you can simply use a U.S. state field. In our case, this can be for anywhere in the world. So we want to do a country field. So drag and drop in our country field here. And we'll go to our edit option. And we'll add a more descriptive description here. Where is your company located? Perfect. Question mark. Once again, I know I'm being a bit repetitive here, adding the same width as before. And we're going to map this over to a custom data field for, actually not a custom data field, rather a stock data field for primary address and country. Field size, we'll do large. And country description is not mandatory. Once again, we'll add a required field. All right, so we are working our way down the list. Now we come to office phone. So you can either use one of our phone fields, which will give you the specific boxes here for your phone option. We can have that, or in our case, just to make it look a little bit cleaner, because we're using all large, clear white boxes, I want to go ahead and use a single text field. It'll work almost the same way here. And we'll just do something like this, office phone. Office phone. I mean, the way you can gather information, I mean, single text fields are applicable for everything. So, single text field is always a sort of go-to route if you want to gather information you don't think you can actually gather from the other field types. We'll do large, 375 here, and we'll do office phone. We'll do work phone. Same idea here. Single text description. Now, for single text default value, what this will do is, let me see if this form field is showing it here. Exactly. So what the value there will be is, it says include country code and area code. Basically, we can input into the boxes here some kind of criteria we want the leads to be filling out when they actually have the landing page submitted. So in our case, I want them to include the country code and area code to make sure I have the most information required. So we'll put that in here. Include country code, and we'll do and area code. And once again, required field, I can go ahead and limit the amount of characters. Now this might be a good time to limit the characters, as phone numbers can only be so long. You don't want someone putting in a bunch of 9s or something as an example. In our case, keep it simple. We're not going to do that, but you can most certainly do that if you'd like. So there's one more. There's company website. Just for sort of repetitive purposes, I'm not going to go ahead and add that one in there. You sort of get the idea. It would work the same way as office phone. Let's start going into some drop menus now. And this is going to be some interesting stuff here. So bring down a drop menu. And put right above, you can see here we have our drop menu inputted right into the builder. So drop menus are really interesting. So let's go ahead now. We'll do field size large. And for this particular drop menu, let's go ahead and label it. We will label it, are you currently using a CRM? So that's an important aspect of our platform, is if we do a demo, we want to know if you're currently using a CRM. So are you currently using? And you see here really the flexibility we're working with. I mean, you can input as much information as you'd like, and whatever information you'd like to gather, you can go ahead and do it. It's just, whatever information is relevant to your business, you can go ahead and input it. So we'll do, are you currently using a CRM? And we can actually start putting in our individual choices here. So first up, we'll do Sugar CRM. Trying to spell here, Sugar CRM. And I can easily go ahead and add more options here. So Sugar CRM, maybe Salesforce there, maybe Dynamics, and finally, we'll do an option for no CRM. And you can go ahead, if you have extra options, you can delete them, you can move them around if you'd like, change the order of the options. In our case, this is a required field, and we'll change the width over to, 380 here. Perfect. now we have a custom dropdown. Now, one thing to note, if you're using Sugar CRM and you have a dropdown located inside of your instance, you will have to use a drop-down menu, or you have to match the exact values, I should say. So let's give an example here. So maybe we have a drop-down menu already included inside of our Sugar, and the options are these here: Sugar CRM, Salesforce, Dynamics, no CRM. Now, if we're mapping back to that form field inside of Sugar, we have to use the same exact values that the drop-down inside of Sugar is using. So if Sugar CRM, for an example, if the S in Sugar is not capitalized, it won't sync over correctly. Everything is case sensitive, so make sure that if there's a capital S inside of Sugar, you have a capital S inside of INBOX25 as well. Sugar CRM data fields are a little bit finicky, so you want to make sure everything's exactly identical when you're creating these landing pages. One helpful hint to keep in mind there. So we have another form field option here for database size. Once again, that's a drop-down menu. Let's keep things a little bit less repetitive. So let's go ahead now and add in a checkbox. So checkbox is going to be multiple select, so people can select multiple options if they choose. In this case, we're going to be doing what areas of the platform are you most interested in. We're going to give them a host of different options here. What areas of INBOX25 are you interested in? And we can map this back over to interested features. Now, because we have multiple options here, it's best to map this back to a single text field inside of Sugar. And all this will do is each option the recipient chooses, it'll just have it separated by a comma inside of the record profile. So it'll be lead scoring, comma, landing pages, comma, email marketing. It just makes it very easy to read inside of your Sugar instance for either your marketing team or your sales team. So we'll keep it simple here. We'll do landing pages. We'll do another option here for lead scoring. And we'll do one more option for automated email sending. And we'll just make it look a little bit more fancy here if we're trying to emulate the page. We'll do lead nurturing. Perfect. Okay. So we have our form fields here, and you can see you can add as many options you like. I'm pretty sure on this request for demo landing page we have 7 there. And you can see multiple selects. You can check off which ones you like. Give your leads a host of different options to choose from. And then last but not least, we have a paragraph field. So now I want my lead to actually write in text of their own here. And in this case, it's going to be, what are your current marketing struggles today? So we'll do, what are your current marketing struggles today? I know we're getting a little bit repetitive here, but for strictly demonstration purposes, it's good to see how each field works. Marketing struggles today. Perfect. And then we'll map that back to, and in this case, you want to map this back to a single text field because all of it is going to be text. So we'll do, what are your current struggles today? So marketing challenge. And then for width here, we can play around with our width. Maybe we can do something like 400. Nah, that's too long. We'll do 375. Why not keep it uniform? And we'll get rid of this paragraph description. And then we'll check off required field. Perfect. All right, so we have a little bit less fields. Oh, one more thing, of course, our submit option. Can't forget about the submit option. So we give you a default submit button here. It's not the prettiest looking submit button, so if you have a custom one built out, you're more than welcome to use that. And to do that, it's very simple. We can go here and click use an image, choose file, and then once again, I have my handy dandy folder here. We'll choose schedule a demo here, and it should input our let's schedule a demo at the bottom. And we're done. I mean, that's it. The landing page is built out in roughly a half hour, I want to say. And also it'll take a little bit longer because, of course, we're doing a demonstration here, so I want to explain everything out in more detail. But as you can see, this is a clean-looking landing page. Minimize that there. And if we scroll to the bottom, we have another content block available to us. I'm not going to utilize it today, but you're more than welcome to add more content on the bottom of the landing page. I want to keep my landing page a little bit cleaner, a little bit more simple. So this is what we're left with here. Now, if we scroll to the top, we can click Save and Preview. And we can see the landing page is fully created. We can scroll down here, see all our form fields, select the country form field here, We can see our different drop-down options for Sugar CRM, Salesforce, and also we have this very large paragraph box here for our leads to input specific text. Now, one more thing I want to discuss is going to be what happens when this landing page is created. So we click Finish and Publish here. All right, we can see we give you two options in terms of utilizing this landing page. The first one is going to be a basic one. We're giving you the URL for this published page. So simply if I highlight this URL here, we'll copy it and we'll open it up in a new window. It's going to give you the page as a standalone URL. So you can either have this on your website as an embedded, as a hyperlink in a website, for example, and it'll redirect you to this page here. Or you can send this in, maybe an email campaign if you have a survey or an ebook or a white paper download. Or for those a little more advanced, we also give you the option to embed the form fields into your website. So we give you all of the JavaScript and CSS snippets of code, which will allow you to take the form fields and underlay those over the style of your website. So if you want us to have it seamlessly blend in with the style of your website, but use our form fields for something like lead capture, you can go ahead and do that here. And we give you all the different form code options. This will be best left to your web dev guys, whoever those guys or girls may be. They'll be the ones handling this implementation. And that's really it. Once again, we'll just go to our live page here. We'll see what it looks like. And this is our completed landing page. Really, really nice. And you'll see here, if I open it up, it's actually using previous data that I've submitted before. So if someone's using a browser they've used before, we'll auto-fill their specific fields here with the same fields they used before. So if you ever filled out a landing page on maybe like a clothing store or something, you'll notice they'll usually have your information saved into the browser to easily input later. We have the same effect here, and it all goes by the browser settings here. So I'll now open the floor up for any questions that someone may have here. So is there any way to delete the logo, header, or footer blocks from the landing page completely? Okay, let's go back to our landing page builder here. And we'll go to Return to Editor. So that's a good question. If you don't want to have the logo block here, what you would do is she's referring to this specific logo block up here. If you don't want that logo block there, you can simply just select a landing page template that doesn't have that built-in logo. And that would, I might lose this landing page here. We'll go to Switch Layout, and I'll just show you. So the two different template types on the top, this template here will not have a designated logo box. It will just give you a content block on the top. This one here, as an example, will have the dedicated logo block. So if you don't want the logo block in there, you can go ahead and you basically just not choose that template. We have 3 templates that don't have that specific logo block embedded. In terms of header or footer blocks, you can't delete them completely, but if you don't fill them in, they won't be used. As an example, so you go back to my requested demo page here, there was a content block down here, but I didn't use it, so it's not showing up in the actual builder. So if you don't use it, it won't show up. That differentiates a little bit from our email builder, where you have to actually delete the sections, but in this case, if you don't use it, it won't show up in the builder itself there. Another one, how do I sync over my custom data fields into INBOX25? Wow, that's a really great question. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so to do that, so as I mentioned before, if you're using custom data fields, you're going to create them inside of Sugar first, and then sync them over to the platform. Now, my GoToWebinar bar here is blocking. Okay, here we go. So to do that, so once they're created inside of Sugar CRM, you'll have to manually sync them over to the platform. So all I did here was I went to my Sugar CRM dashboard, which is on the top right of my INBOX25 dashboard. And I can go over to either my leads, contacts, targets, and accounts, where the custom data fields will live. And I go to Manual Sync. And once I do this, it'll bring up a list of all the data fields inside of that module that our platform is reading. And all of your custom data fields will be created at the bottom. So you'll see here all the ones with lead dot, these are all custom data fields. And you simply just check off the custom data fields here, click Save, and you'll begin the process of syncing those data fields over. Once they're synced over, they will be available for selection in your landing page. And that's really simple. That's how you'd go about doing that. So I'll just wait here for any more questions. I don't see any. Well, that sums it up for today's webinar. I know it was actually a little bit longer, about 50 minutes. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them. Please feel free to email me, at james.verdi@inbox25.com. Once the questions are given, I'll go ahead and answer them for you right away, and I'll go ahead and submit those for everyone in the webinar today, so everyone knows the questions that people have asked. Once again, this webinar is recorded and placed on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/inbox25tube, and it's also placed on our blog and support center. So multiple ways you can find this webinar if you want to go back and check it or watch it later on. Once again, this has been James Verdi from INBOX25. Hope everyone has a great weekend, a great rest of the day, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye.